So, hello and welcome everybody to this panel. I will just wait a few minutes because a few people are still coming in until you found a seat, and then we will talk about succeeding in the digital times we're living in. Don't be shy, come in. So, welcome everybody. This panel, I think as you can read here, is all about how can football clubs and in extension rights holders in sports succeed in the digital era we are living in. I'm Thomas Euler. I'm one of the founders and managing directors at Liquiditeam. Our core product is Unyfy. We will probably touch a bit more on this in a second, but I'm not alone. I'm here with Tom Ehemann and Alex Mühl. They will say a bit more about themselves and their very exciting roles in a minute. Actually, the topic of this panel, to succeed in this digitization phase we are all going through, is a bit the story of my life. I grew up with a hotel industry family. I set up the first website and got our own company online. Then I did consulting in digital transformation, and then we started in 2020 to launch the company and build solutions for rights holders to essentially connect with their fan base in these new digital times. So it's been a topic that I have for a long time done and worked on. And what of course is super important nowadays for me personally and for us as a company is to really understand what are the pain points and the needs of sports clubs, of rights holders. And to that end, I'm super happy to have the two with me here. Tom has like a very cool role. He's the head of digital fan experience at FC Bayern Munich. And Alex is the director of marketing and digitization or digitalization. I don't know which English version you picked, but whatever, at Borussia Dortmund. So really illustrious, great gentlemen, I guess, to talk about this topic and this discussion. And because you are responsible in your roles for leading your clubs in this digital era, I would like to start to learn a bit and give the audience a bit more of an impression about your job and the topics you are currently concerned with, working on, thinking about. And maybe we do it in a rapid-fire way. Tom, maybe you want to start and give us the top 3 topics you're currently dealing with.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you guys. So, as you said, I'm overseeing digital fan experience at FC Bayern, meaning overseeing our website, app, customer service, email communication, and the underlying customer data platform, and all the new technologies evolving with AI and blockchain and other interesting topics such as esports. So it's always a broad variety of topics, and if I must really say that the top 3 topics we are working at the moment is first transforming our own media platform from a news platform towards a interactive platform. Secondly, to consolidate still all our fan data in one single place in a CDP. And third, still having an open eye on new technology, such as AI, kicked in quite heavy for new products and projects, and also blockchain is still on the watch, and there will be a time where it will come back, I think.
Okay, let me take over. Hey everyone, thanks for having me. So my role is actually similar to the one that Thomas just described. So I'm also overseeing the digital platforms and digital products of Borussia Dortmund. Plus I got the marketing wing under me. Half of my team is in London right now. The rest will follow tomorrow. And regarding the topics, actually the top 3 are also to a certain degree similar to what Tom said. And I think there might be a pattern here that we do a deep dive later on. But it's really, the first thing is currently really rebuilding all of our digital interfaces towards our fans. That means we're in the middle of relaunching the vb.de, so our main website where we have all the editorial contents, and that really serves as a club hub to all of our fans. rebuilding the app infrastructure that we have in the e-commerce stores. So it's a bit of time. The last relaunch was like 10 years ago, and a lot of things happened on the web. So that's really the top one priority. The second priority that we're facing currently is, I think Bayern Munich and as well as us, we're both blessed with a massive reach and following in social media. I think Bayern is around 140 million followers. We just crossed the 64 million line, and hopefully the Wembley final will give us another push. But at the same time, right now I'm playing a London final, you notice, damn, if you really want to reach all those people with your content that you're producing, you actually have to spend money on third-party platforms, because that's the business model of Mark Zuckerberg and all these others. So, so there's really one challenge for us. If we, priority one, rebuild our digital platforms and interfaces, then priority two is, how do we get all the fans around the world that we reach, how do we get them to visit us on these platforms so we get a direct access to them and can really reach the full potential of our following. And then quite naturally, priority number three pops right out of that. The challenge then is to get the direct access to the fans, to get the data point, get the sign up, get at least the advertising opt-in, if not a registration for a single sign-on, to be really able to fully capitalize on that in terms of fan experience, services, content that you serve to the fans, but of course also in terms of monetization, building an inventory, building new products for our partners that are then more data-based and based on the direct access that we offer to fans.
So one of the reasons why the two of you are actually some of my, or maybe my two favorite clients, is because when you talk, you really, it sounds like when I'm pitching and telling our story. And you mentioned two topics that I really want to dive a bit deeper into, because they are, I guess, so important for the industry, and hopefully topics that are also of interest and relevant to all of you, and that is data and platforms. So let's probably dive a bit deeper into data, because obviously everybody in the industry is kind of aware data is important. Probably all of you read the story about Barcelona and how they got much less money from Spotify after Spotify learned how comparably little data they really had about their fan base. But what does it actually mean? What are the benefits of data, and how do you deal with the data in your organization? So probably Tom, in your strategy, in the projects you do, what role does data play, and how do you think about it internally? What are the goals? Why do you want more data, or do you?
Yes, we do, of course, and I want to explain why. To look at the history, how football clubs evolved in digital space helps a lot. So I think in 2010, social media kicked in, and every club around the globe tried to build up large audiences on Facebook, Instagram, and so on. And then they realized, okay, so we are totally dependent on Mark Zuckerberg, as you mentioned. So if he wakes up in the middle of the night and decided to tweak the algorithm, he can reduce your reach and cut it in half in a second. So it's really key to have ownership over reach. So what social media platforms are doing is, right, they encourage you to build large audience, and then they tweak the algorithm and they say, okay, the reach had reduced a little bit, but you can actually reach or even get a higher reach by paying for it. So it's really nice business model, I must admit. But still, in the end, that comes to the conclusion that you really have to have ownership over your reach on your own media channels, and so on your data. And so, as you said, when we talked about our strategy, is clearly our strategy that we have our own media channels in our focus, because the second thing, if you have control over reach, over your platform, over data, you can build your own products, right? I want to give an example. We had like 2 VOD pay products last year without a clear positioning and so on. So we decided to merge those products. So we have like one FC Bayern TV Plus as a single pay VOD platform. So we built a whole new user experience. We did promotion towards those products, and we were actually able to grow by 100%. So we doubled our subscriptions. So there was a really a cool case to see, okay, you can really build on your own media channels, your own products, and monetize them. And I guess a bit later we will also talk about what we are designing at the moment, because it's not the end of the world.
Indeed. Alex, something to add there on the data and as you use it at Dortmund?
Yeah, I think there's two sides to the story. So the first thing is, I mean, even beyond monetization, I think the topic of fan experience really plays a role here. I don't know how it is with other clubs, but if I look at what Borussia Dortmund is doing in terms of activities, we have an esports team, we have a women's team, we have a third division team, which is our youth team. We have multiple CSR activities. And our audience is so big that you have to admit not everything we do has the same relevance for each and every one of our fans. So having the ability to create more personalized content offerings, and of course also commercial offerings on our digital platforms, is really a goal for us. And how do we do that? Of course by data. And I'll give you a little example. So we're building up the momentum for Wembley on Saturday right now. And just a little thing that we've done is, of course, we had this massive influx. I think 200,000 people applied for tickets. So that's essentially 200,000 data points of people who said, hey, I want to go to Wembley, I want to get a ticket. Of course, we could only give out, like, I think 20, 25,000 tickets that we had as a club. But all the other people will certainly watch the final. So what we did is we asked them, where are you going to watch the final? In London, in Dortmund, where we have 3 public viewings and probably will have 100,000, 200,000 people on Sunday and Saturday in the city, or somewhere else in Germany or on the world. And we had a really high response. That's like 3 different audiences of quite a remarkable size that we can now address over the next days and after the final with specific fan-related informations, where to watch the final, commercial offerings that meet their needs, so we can really deliver an added value for our fans, because we can give them the content that they need to enjoy the final the best. And of course, we can also offer them the partner offerings and their own commercial offerings that meet their need state the best. And I think that's something that you can only achieve if you have the ability to capture that fan data and the fan need state. And linked to that is also, of course, building an inventory for sponsors and partners that capitalizes exactly on that. Because, I mean, it's so I got a background in the agency world, and when I joined sports 3 years ago, it was really funny for me, because I had conversations I haven't had for 10 years on the agency side, because everyone talked about reach, awareness, emotions, and I was like, okay, did you ever speak to the FMCGs in this world who are also looking for mid and lower funnel offerings to get direct access to fans? And I think the topic of fan data offers a huge potential for any club out there, because clubs are the entities where people are really willing to share their data with. You know, I tried to write concepts for, funny enough, for shampoo brands on how to gather first-party data. It's tricky. It's easy as a football club.
Yeah, thanks for touching on this aspect. I mean, something when we are developing Unyfy and having these kind of conversations behind closed doors, now we have it publicly. We started making it very easy to collect data about fans, and we had a large focus on making direct-to-consumer stuff easier. And then over the last, say, 18 months or so, we really invested a lot into building out sponsorship opportunities for partners, because what we saw is that the demands of sponsors are also changing. The way I think a bit about it, having also worked in with many marketing departments of big corporates in the past, I saw they were changing, like you just described, to a more and more performance mindset. And sponsorship is probably a bit behind as a marketing function when it comes to this. Do you see that more sponsors, partners are now demanding these data-based services from you?
Definitely. I'll just jump in. And then, yes, but please don't get me wrong. It's not either or. I mean, the strength of sponsoring is still the mass reach, creating awareness for brands and sponsors. And that's, of course, a muscle I think we all as an industry should keep training and delivering on, but that's sort of given. But I think in addition, you'd really need these more lower funnel performance-orientated offerings to sponsors, because not always the ego of the CEO is the main KPI. But if people look at an ROI on sponsoring invests, it is, of course, a great argument if you can outline, okay, this is the size of our audiences, we have so and so many fans who might be in the funnel decision for automotive purchase or what else, and these are the channels and activations we can reach them through. I think we're not at a point where that is decisive, because I think sponsoring as a category is watched differently, but the conversations, at least if the operational teams come in after onboarding a new sponsor, really often turn into that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only agree that, as you said, like you have the digital golden rule, right? You have reach, engage, relationship, and then monetize. I think 5-10 years ago, many sponsors stopped with reach, and it was totally fine for them. But what we are seeing at the moment is actually that the operational teams get bigger in sponsorship departments in large brands. They now track exactly the whole funnel. In the beginning, reach is still the main KPI, but it's getting more and more important also to have a CTA, to have a direct call to action, to actually track down, okay, I reached 100 people, 10 converted into my database, and actually 5 really purchased the product.
So from there, it's clear you guys need data, you need more data, and you need to be able to use this data for different purposes, from better personalizing content and experiences to fans to acquiring partners. Now, what are the steps you have to take to actually get this data and generate it? And that is where I believe that platforms, the topic you mentioned before, is really the core topic, because you need to create these attractive digital destinations where your fans come and where they do more than just being users who click on something. They need to create accounts. They need to be able to interact with you and so on. Is that a topic that resonates with you? You already mentioned yes, you kind of also did. And if so, how do you think about becoming a platform as Borussia Dortmund, as Bayern Munich? What are the steps you're currently taking?
There are many ingredients actually to run a successful media platform. As Alex mentioned, so the key challenge is really to transform our social media audience, which is 175 million. A bit more. You have to leave this with me, as you already have a bit an advantage for Saturday. So the key thing is to transform those 175 million to our platforms. But how can we do that? So you really need to build interactive platforms. First ingredient for sure is to have a smooth fan experience. Secondly, for sure, you have to really a sound tech infrastructure. But third is really interaction. So what we are doing at the moment, we launching a lot of gamification and loyalty features and elements. So and those are performing really well. So sometimes we have over 100K participants, for example, for quizzes. We did a lot of quizzes around the Champions League semi-final matches with Real Madrid, where you saw the video and it stopped, and then okay, what's happening next? So those easy features work really well. Or we work a lot with votings, a play of the month, or a picture on our membership card. So those participation works really well. And in terms of loyalty elements, we are working on at the moment with you guys, of course, on collectibles and reward mechanisms. So for fans, maybe we can talk about a bit later on that. But still, it's that broad variety besides content, of course. So we still have access to players and all that stuff and can create cool videos. But besides that, you really need to transform your platform from a news video platform towards an interactive platform.
Alex? Something to add here?
Yeah, I think I take one step back because I think you've already done a few things that we need to do. I said we're currently rebuilding our digital interfaces, so I think it's 3 patterns. The first thing is you really have to have a digital platform that delivers an up-to-date user experience, so that people actually come to your website and say, okay, I'm going to stay here for a while, and not scream and go away because it looks shitty on your smartphone screen. So that's something you want to avoid. So I think that is really the first point, as well as, of course, having some sort of CRM system in place and or a single sign-on that is able to capture the data and deliver an added value. Then it really becomes a course of topic of the content, and I think that's often a really challenging thing, because you have to take into admission that a lot of users are fine with black and yellow popping up every few days in their social media feeds, and actually it's really hard to bring them to your own platform and keep them engaged there. But then that's the third topic, and that's what Thomas touched about. It's absolutely true. We also did a lot of experiments with gamification elements, little quizzes, small giveaways, and that then really works well. So people are really willing to engage with you in the content. We tried out on our website, we tried it in the social media channels, also in newsletters, and that gives you often then really that little bit of extra engagement. And if you have a nice incentive, like giveaways, tickets, something like that, always rare on our side, then people are really willing to give you at least their email address and the advertising opt-in, and then it's sort of like the lead nurturing game that you're suddenly in.
So, to condense a bit what you said, I think loyalty, gamification, that is definitely one lever, interaction a second lever that you need to integrate into your platforms, which of course comes with a few challenges, because you need the technological capabilities to do this, or the right solutions, where we of course may come into play in some cases, and then you on top also need to be willing to run these experiments. Was that in your organizations a challenge to get into this mindset, or is it straightforward?
I can start. So usual in the football business, errors are not accepted, right? So it's honestly a daily fight to push still management and the whole organization that in the digital space you need to try and error, because that's the beauty of digital, right? You get results right away. You launch a case and then you get straight away the KPIs if it worked or not. And then you have to revise it and optimize it, it's a long journey, but I think we're getting there. That everybody's aware of that. That not everything can be perfect with a launch, and to be honest, also in our experience, you take one part, you take the account management and renew it, and then another piece is outdated, and you have to renew, either if it's the CRM, the CMS, your content management, your analytics tool. I mean, the tool landscape we are dealing with is like tremendous, and that's why it's really crucial that everybody understands. It's a long journey where you board on new partners, where you try and error. And secondly, there will be errors for sure.
And that's really the challenge. I mean, seriously, test and learn wasn't invented at football clubs. It's really a cultural thing, and that was also, I mean, the fun thing is I had a similar pattern, because when I was on the agency side, I was running a lot of digital transformation projects with big companies in Germany, and it was, again, the same pattern. As soon as they moved into the digital space, started experimenting with digital products, to frame them in the sense of, okay, this is an hypothesis, let's test and learn and then optimize. People were really struggling of getting the idea, and I think I think the same pattern that you described is there at Borussia Dortmund. But I mean, we're getting there, so that's why people like me and you are in football clubs to deliver on that mindset. And the thing is, it works. It just doesn't work the way traditional club management was used to activate communication infrastructure. But I mean, a loyalty program is something different than working with out-of-home panels and sticking a sponsor's logo on a wall. So that's part of the game.
Definitely. Tom, you already touched on the new thing you are going to launch and that we are working together on, which is exactly in this loyalty and gamification space. And probably you can share a bit more in detail what it is we are doing together there. I want to leave you the first words about it, because I think it's the first time you will publicly talk about it, right?
Happy to give some insights what we are currently working on. So as I said, our tech landscape is quite broad. So we were looking at a partner who gives us those key tech components we were looking for to drive more gamification and interaction. And the nice thing about your software is actually that it's quite flexible. You can either take it as a ready-to-market product and launch it very quickly, or what we are actually doing is deeply integrated into your IT landscape. So it's working for both, right, large and small companies. And what we are actually doing is that we try to build up a collect and reward mechanism. I want to give you an example of the first use case we want to launch in August. So imagine we have like 34 Bundesliga matches, and user will open up the app during the match day, and then they can claim a match day collectible, like a digital card, and the next day it will be revealed with the iconic match day photo. And if users collect all the 34 match day collectibles, they will get rewarded in the end. So 1 year is a bit long, so we're trying to work out at the moment that we will do small raffles and small rewards after the first match day, mid-season, maybe every month. So this is what we're actually talking about with try and error. But I think this will drive interaction and loyalty to the next level. And the software is quite flexible, so we can design every use case we want. Maybe the next case will be a jersey collectible where fans can collect all the 4 jerseys. We're launching every season, so it can be Bundesliga home, Bundesliga away, Champions League, and sometimes we have even an Oktoberfest jersey, which is quite nice. Or you can even collect. You can build up a collection with 3 consecutive jerseys in 3 years. Fans have bought. So yeah, we will launch the first use case, and then I guess I hope many follows based on the learnings we get from the first one.
Obviously, I will follow, and I'm super curious what will be the most popular things with your fans. Really, excited to see this in action in the upcoming times. So, if people hear about digital collectibles, probably many of them think about 2 years ago there was this NFT thing and everybody tried to make a few 100,000 by selling a collectible to their fans. But I hear it's not the route you're taking, is it?
Well, we're taking both. So it's double the burden, you would say, in Germany. So actually, what we are doing is that we are we put that item on our fan data set in our central database at Bayern, and secondly, fans have the option to claim a NFT and drop it into their Web3 wallet. And that's the beauty of it. So we're driving both ways, because I really think there might be a good chance that the whole Web3 wave will come back, and at some point decentralized networks will interact with each other. And especially still our sponsors are also working on blockchain use cases, and at some point we will be able to combine them and redeem NFTs we issued in the ecosystem of our sponsors. But at the moment, I think it's better to drive both ways, because some might lose the key to the wallet and so on. So it's actually also saved in our central database.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was more hinting at the monetary aspect, that I don't think you will sell these for hundreds of thousands, right? You are, like you mentioned, you are looking at monetization in different ways, including creating new assets for sponsorship, which I think is really interesting. And we have a few projects who use our software in the digital collectible space, including, for instance, there is a platform called Sammel dein Team, which is run by Axel Springer. If you don't know, it's one of the largest, or the largest German publisher, and they, for instance, do the men's national football team around the European Championships as a digital collectible series. And they are on the same platform. Also, something that can be announced today, there will also be the Team Deutschland, the German Olympic team soon as well. So if you guys are into collecting, something to look forward to. But what we see there is collecting is just so engaging, and what they do, they also do it in a freemium way. They acquired these licenses from DFB, and it is something fans can collect with points, which they collect for activity, and they can spend money on it. And so they really get the whole range of fans activated, and we ourselves are surprised how well that works in the sports fan context, but it just does. And I think the big mistake in the NFT era, which was the first digital collectibles era, was just to make it a super expensive paid product and not something for fan engagement. But once you use it for engagement, it just works like a charm.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was going down the route of the technical side of the use case, but when you see it from a commercial side and talking about monetization, that's absolutely right. So the collectible / NFT will be free of charge for our fans in the first step. So as I said, we need to create reach or better engagement and the relationship, and then we can monetize. There might be a time where you really launch rare, exclusive collections, and you put a price tag on it. But I think at the moment it's too early. But there's also a way to monetize with your sponsors, right? So because you can put a branding on the collection, you can do exclusive branded collections. So there, on the B2B side, you have options.
Alex, to loop you back in, I don't know how much you want to share in front of these people about the project we've lately been doing, which is still early stage and more in the concept development phase, but feel free to decide how deep you want to go into it. But it's also in the loyalty and the gamification realm, and we work together a bit to say, how can this work in the future? And to me, one key aspect that I would like you to elaborate a bit more on is, can loyalty in sports work like it works in retail, where shopping, you collect a few points and then you get a discount? Or do you need to think differently about it? What is the Borussia Dortmund vision of loyalty?
We're actually trying to find out in a discussion with you right now. But but I can share a few thoughts on that. I think so. As I said, we're currently rebuilding our digital interfaces. So once we're there and we bring people to our platform, then of course our question is, what kind of incentives do we set for people to come back, to re-engage on our platforms and to go to our platform and not sports.com or sport1.de. And then quite naturally the whole topic of loyalty programs or incentives for engagement quite naturally pop up. So that is really something we're looking into. It's, as I said, we're not there where you are right now in terms of interfaces, but once we have that prepared, that will be the natural next question, and I think it will be a challenge for every club. Because you could say, I mean, what the hell do we need a loyalty program for? There is one, and that's a club membership, right? But what we notice, especially in Germany with the 50+1 culture and a really tradition of fan participation and voting rights, we found out that these are two worlds that are hard to combine. For example, we had the discussions around fan tokens, and some pushback that we faced from our fan scene was like, is this token technology taking away participatory rights that are linked to a club membership and are going to get monetized? No one's ever wanted to do that, but that was the perception. So it's a touchy ground. The other thing is, a good old German Vereinsmitgliedschaft, aka club membership, doesn't really scale internationally. So, I mean, some fans get it in overseas and think it's cool because it's quite traditional thing, but it's not really catered to the business challenge we're facing. So what we're right now discussing is how can sort of like this a complementary engagement or loyalty layer look like that is not connected to the club membership or maybe interweaved as well, because I mean it's the highest form of loyalty, the club membership. But how do we set incentives for fans in Korea, in China, in Japan, in the US to go to BBB platform and give them some sense of belonging and a reward? And then it's exactly those two roads you can travel. The one thing is gamification and going for distinction and social status by handing out rewards, whether they're minted as NFTs or they're just badges in your profile. I mean, that's mechanisms that are being used in so many digital platforms. So I think it completely makes sense to give someone the digital Allesfahrer reward if he watches every match day in the BVB app. The other thing is, of course, giving all these commercial platforms that clubs have, why not create some sort of payback system that might be point-based, so for every transaction that you do on a BVB platform, that gets then rewarded and gives you discounts, bonuses, or access to exclusive products and discounts in the online shop. But it's a really tricky thing to get in the details there. So back to your question, I wouldn't commit on an answer yet, but I think it's a really interesting and important things for clubs to discuss if they want to grow the engagement of their audiences and also the monetary conversions of those.
I mean, personally, one thing is pretty clear to me. You cannot just, I don't know if in the Netherlands and across Europe, payback is well known, but you cannot create the system that is just purely transactional. You also need to account for the fact that you, as a football club, you have a fan base, and this fan base is highly passionate, and they do a lot of different things related to your brand, related to your club, and that needs to be integrated into anything you do in this loyalty realm, because if you don't, then it will feel merely transactional, and I fear that this would not be super well adapted just by a large chunk of the fan base, because for this probably also you don't have enough partners like a Payback, who is like the biggest supermarket chain, big gas station, and so on a German-wide level. Now, I guess that is then also going back to the data generation point, the thing where it gets interesting, right? You need these mechanisms, as you said, to not only reward commercial activities, which of course can be part, but also to reward people using your platforms. And if they use your platforms, the data trail, so to speak, they leave gets longer and longer. You understand better and better what your fans do. You can create better offers for your fans directly, or you can help to your partners to have more specific communications with your fan base. And this is, I guess, where all this platform building becomes a very interesting proposition. I would like, because probably the audience also has a few questions, if anyone in the audience has a question for the panel here, go ahead. We still have 5 minutes, and I would Q&A a bit. Sure. You want to do it like this, or I bring you the mic? I can bring you the mic as well.
Hi, nice to meet you, and thank you for the panel discussion. How do you create commercial value out of the data that you collect, especially? So, yeah, B2B to your sponsors or whatever.
As I said, it's a long journey to really monetize data, but in the end, I would say you can look at it from a B2C point of view. We have a lot of traditional products like ticketing, merchandising, club memberships, kids clubs offerings. So we actually have a diverse portfolio, a pay VOD platform. So, and if you own the data, you can, have direct access to them. If you have the marketing consent, that's also key. Then you can, you can promote your products. In ticketing, I guess it's the same with you. We don't have a sale issue, but with the other products, we still try to sell as much as possible, right? If you own the data, it's the cheapest market channel you have, right? Other companies have to spend a lot of money to reach customers, we have the privilege through our own social media channels, but also even better to our own media channels to monetize it, and that's actually the best way to promote existing but also new products. That's the one way to commercialize it. And secondly, as we discussed, our sponsors are getting to a stage where they really will also want to understand our database, where they really want to understand how can I target a specific segment which might be useful for me and where I can market my product. And for that, you first need to have the data in one single place. Secondly, you have to be structured data. Thirdly, you need to have the marketing consent. But if you have those three ingredients, you can drive really cool commercial campaigns with your partners. But it's still something that's ongoing.
Yeah, and in addition to this, a bit more concrete how that might look like. As I said, we're currently relaunching the bvb.de, of course, together with a new ad server technology. So our aim is, in the next iteration of the website, to deliver really the possibility to do granular targeting on the platform, addressing fans that visit our platform based on, I mean, age, gender, that's the easy thing, location as well, but also based on behavioral data. If someone who's constantly clicking on eFootball articles, deliver them different advertisings than someone who reads only articles about the first team. And then, prospectively, even maybe enabling programmatic buying of ad spaces at Borussia Dortmund, of course more as a private auction because our sponsors always have the first access. And then things, I think, will get really interesting because you probably know that in the future, third-party cookies, I mean, I think this year Google will finally pull the plug. So the whole topic of programmatic advertising won't really work anymore on regular websites. But those platforms with a strong ecosystem of first-party data will still be able to offer that kind of targeting as long as people are logged in and browse their platforms. And I think that that's a great opportunity for clubs, and that's one really concrete use case that we're aiming for with the relaunch of our website.
And just to add, I don't know if any of you guys have experiences with this, but a few clubs and rights holders told me that they now have first sponsorship deals that have like performance or affiliate components in them as well. And to be good with this kind of stuff, you obviously also need data and targeting capabilities and so on. So that is also slowly sneaking into the sports world. I don't know if you can confirm or...
Yeah, absolutely. And as Alex mentioned, maybe also give a concrete use case. Like we having more and more digital companies rise as sponsors, Get Your Guide or whatever, and they really try to design affiliate user journeys where we actually benefit in addition if we bring them customers. But this is really key. Or for HVB, for our banking partner, we design targeted email campaigns for those we know they have already the FC Bayern banking card, and for those they don't. So and those is only the beginning, and the next level will be retargeting and stuff like that, and customized banners on the website based on the behavioral data on web and app.
Exciting times. Sadly, the timer here says we are now 10 seconds over the time. But if you have any more questions, I'll be around. I guess the two of you will be a bit longer around. So yeah, I hope it was insightful, and thanks for the both of you to show up.